always try and get out the slums. I love to make you smile, you know you the bomb. Remember nights you made it melt out of crimes. Yeah, you want the best for me, I know that. I want the best for you, I'm trying to show that. I'm stacking this cake for you, I need a plate for you. It's anything for you, you know that. It's a message to moms, baby, I always try and get out the slums. I love to make you smile, you know you the bomb. Remember nights you made it melt out of crimes. Yeah, you want the best for me, I know that. I want the best for you, I'm trying to show that. I'm stacking this cake for you.
Welcome back to my channel where we talk about mental health. Okay, anyways, so this video is long overdue and it was requested by a subscriber. Shout out to you, girl. You were my first person to give me a request. Shout out to you. And I'm sorry it took so long because, like, what? But the title, as you can see from the title, we're going to be talking about anxiety. What is anxiety? And first things first, we know we got to start off with that definition. I just Googled medical definition for anxiety, and I'll insert the definition here as well. Anxiety is an emotion characterized by the feeling of tension, worried thoughts, and physical changes like increased blood pressure. So that just basically means, short answer, anxiety is fear, anxiety is worry. Now, for me, anxiety comes, it's always present. Sometimes, we'll get there, Now, the most basic way that a lot of scientists like to explain it is all human beings are capable of feeling anxiety. It is an emotion that we all experience, regardless of your background, you know, race, gender, anything, sexual orientation, whatever you want to call it. Regardless, every human being on this planet feels anxiety, period. That's a non-negotiable. The thing that makes it debilitating is if the anxiety overtakes other emotions. So humans naturally have anxiety because when we were living in, I don't know, the Amazons, girl, when we were living in like wild habitats, girl, we needed anxiety in order to, you know, constantly keep us on guard. When we was living with the dinosaurs and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Oh my God, you know, imagine being dinosaurs, being out, you know, imagine, I don't know, Tyrannosaurus Rexes flying down and like caping you up or something like that. I don't know, girl. You do the math. Make it work. But yeah, so that's the origin of anxiety. Is so that when we would go out and hunt for our food, human beings would be able to constantly feel that sense of alert. It kept us alert and aware of our surroundings and figuring out, you know, I always got to be on guard. I already know I always need to be ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to do what? Get ready, because you're already ready. Does that make sense to you? So, yeah. So that's where anxiety comes to play. That's the origin of anxiety. So I just wanted to go off and start by saying that we all are capable of feeling anxiety. Now, when anxiety turns into a medical illness, it's because that sense of anxiety that we all feel, you know what I'm saying? Typically, the way it works is a person should feel anxious, and it brings them alert and aware of their surroundings. But the brain is supposed to be able to detect that there is no danger, and you're supposed to be able to release that anxiety. Now, because of past traumas, because of whatever has happened in life, maybe you're just feeling super overwhelmed or, you know, crashing. You know, we're human. It happens. That's the ability to relax and let go of that anxiety is no longer there. It's gone. It's out the door. It left, girl. It ain't coming back, baby. So that's when things like panic attacks and anxiety attacks start to happen. That's when we start getting diagnoses like generalized anxiety, panic disorder, severe anxiety, you know what I mean? So we start running into things like that. That is going to be a whole nother video, because today we're just literally looking over, we have to go through the umbrella of anxiety. So anxiety is literally the emotion that every human being on this planet is capable of feeling. And anxiety is literally something that we were naturally given by the good Lord himself, child, in order to keep us alive. Back in the days when we was running around with the zebras and, I don't know, lions and tigers and bears and stuff, and the you know, dinosaurs. So that's why we have anxiety, you know what I'm saying? So, boom. So let's talk about it. We're going to keep it general because this is a whole deep dive. I could go really deep as far as anxiety, and a lot of people speak about it in a broad way. And we'll do multiple videos. So cool, I'm back. I zoned out for a second. But as far as anxiety goes, boo, All you need to know is that you got it. No, I'm kidding. All right. Now my computer about to die. Like, what do I even come here for? Like, what do I even come here for? Like, my computer is always dead. Like, I don't get this. Hold on. I'll be right back. A lot of people like to think about anxiety as you probably have heard it before: fight, flight, or freeze. So it's just it's kind of like your body is constantly in an emergency state, and you have three options: you'll fight, knuckle up; you'll flight, get the F; or you'll freeze. And so your body is constantly going to be, your brain and your body is constantly going to be in that state of panic, fight, flight, or freeze. And sometimes it happens differently for everybody. For me, it tends to be freeze, girl. Definitely never giving fight. Like, I don't just like lash out and like try to squirt with people or anything. I'm just kidding. But it's difficult for me to talk about this. Like, it's making me anxious. Talking about anxiety makes me anxious. So we're gonna just go over some treatment. Treatment for anxiety is not limited to, but it includes physical activity, a healthy diet, which I don't have. So apparently there's some like hormones that will allow your brain to access different synapses, girl, that will allow your brain to access its connectors so that it can communicate and calm you down faster, rather than staying in that elongated panic state. Regular sleep, don't got that. Relaxation exercises may help reduce anxiety. So meaning like meditation, that's something that's a go-to thing. Grounding yourself, which is bizarre to me that this is stuff that the therapist, the psychiatrist, psychologist will tell you to do. Like, but it's also interesting because like people who are super spiritual have like their like ties in it as well. But anyways, let me just continue. And joining a group support online. So that's what I'm actually interested in. So, and I'll let you guys know like what happens when I join like a support group online. To manage the symptoms effectively, it's best to avoid caffeine, alcohol, and nicotine. So I avoid all of those things because obviously I don't do drugs. Nicotine is cigarettes. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't drink alcohol, and I don't drink coffee. I drink caffeinated tea though. So see a doctor if you're thinking of exercise. Okay, cool. See a doctor immediately if you can't work or complete activities of daily living. So, unfortunately for me, when I did seek medical attention for those things, it just, I don't know, I guess I kind of like shut down and it just didn't work. It didn't work out for me. So, you should do it. Just because it didn't work for me, it doesn't mean anything. So, yeah, still mentally ill. Anyways, make an appointment to see a doctor if you can't work or maintain relationships. Facts. Abuse alcohol or substances. I don't abuse substances, but I do eat a lot. Feel sad or slow down. So I do feel sad and slow down all the time. So anyways, anxiety is something that like it's like an umbrella, you know what I mean? And underneath that umbrella we have anxiety disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, separation anxiety, and over compulsive disorder, so OCD. So, and a lot of people don't really understand that OCD is an anxiety based disorder, and they don't even have mine up here, panic disorder. But see, I need to ask my psychiatrist if panic disorder and generalized, well, I know it's not generalized anxiety disorder. Why isn't it up there? But anyways, anywho's girl. Yeah. I would just seek treatment. A lot of people do self-diagnose when it comes to anxiety. And I honestly don't think that's a good idea, because anxiety, if you have anxiety on the worst, and oh, actually, let me talk about the symptoms. I'll explain my symptoms, and then we'll go over, we'll go over the generic symptoms. But if you believe that you have anxiety, I recommend you speaking to a professional, because just go ahead and doing yourself ACE What is happening? You just going and doing your self-diagnosis. You doing your own self-diagnosis. So I recommend you speaking to a doctor, because you just doing a self-diagnosis isn't really beneficial to you, honestly, because you're not treating yourself. Now, whether or not you are medication resistant, it's one thing, but the bare minimum that you can do is speak to somebody, have a regular therapist that you see, get attention there. Seek help and therapy there. Now, okay, so they do have a list. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm just using this document from the Mayo Clinic because, girl, they're good with some stuff like this. So, symptoms. So we're gonna go over common symptoms and signs of anxiety include. So let's read this. Common signs and symptoms of anxiety include feeling nervous, restless, or tense, having a sense of impending danger, panic, or doom. Girl, that's me all the time. Like, and it would be weird stuff. Like, it would just be like, oh my God, something's gonna happen. Like, I just know something. Like, like you guys. Okay, so imagine if, your city, you find out that the emotion that when there's natural disasters. Think of like California, while all their, the wild, I'm sorry, I'm anxious now. So think of California when they had the natural disaster and the forest was on fire. Imagine the amount of anxiety that people felt, wondering whether or not, like, if they were going to have to, like, basically leave their homes and, like, trying to figure that out. But, like, a person with anxiety, it's that same emotion because the body triggers the exact same emotion all the time. So, for me it is, at least. Having increased heart rate. Now, that, for me, is the hardest because it just be giving boom, 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 like, oh, it's giving heart attack. Breathing rapidly, hyperventilation. Girl, I hate that for me. Sweating. I actually don't really sweat. Trembling, I do that. Feeling weak or tired. Yeah. Trouble concentrating or thinking about anything other than the present worry. Yeah, so that's literally me in conversations. I'll just zone out and I'll think about all the things that could possibly be going wrong. I could be thinking about, the fact that someone could literally just come in here and, like, nuke us all. You know what I mean? Like, trouble sleeping. So a lot of people either with anxiety can't fall asleep at all, or for anxiety is trouble falling asleep because they're either just up worrying, or I went through this time where I felt like I would convince myself that if I go to sleep, something's going to happen to me in my sleep. Like, either I will wake up dead, or I would, like, get attacked or something. Like, like, you just don't know what's going to happen. And that worried me. It still currently worries me. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Having trouble sleeping, experiencing GI problems. Now, that's something I didn't know. And I think that's a new symptom, honestly, because I went to multiple GI specialists because I was having GI problems, and girl, nothing. There was no help. There was no help for me. So I need to look into that. Having difficulty controlling worry. So some people like to break anxiety down into, like, a tactic you'll learn in therapy is, hey, so use this hour to worry about all the things, that could go wrong, and then try to be involved in, like, day to day. But for me personally, like, that's a good idea, but I wish I could do it. Like, having the urge to avoid things that trigger your anxiety. So, okay, so another thing, the best example I have for this is people with anxiety. People with, it's so hot in my apartment. People with social anxiety avoid people. And just because you're a little awkward doesn't necessarily mean that you have social anxiety. Social anxiety looks like, literally, you and I having a conversation, girl. In my head, everything that I'm saying to you, I'm second guessing. oh my God, why did I say that? It was stupid. Oh my God, I probably offended them. Oh my God, they're gonna hate me. Like, I'm just going in on myself. That's what social anxiety is for me. So agoraphobia. So several types of anxiety disorders that exist. Agoraphobia is a type of anxiety in which you Ace. Oh my God. Agoraphobia is a type of anxiety disorder in which fear and often avoid places or situations that might cause you to panic or feel trapped, helpless, or embarrassed. Okay. This is for people who, like, say you only have. See, this is difficult to discuss because I always think of all of my diagnoses, you know what I'm saying? But say you only have an anxiety diagnosis, you don't have, like, anything else but anxiety, and you self-isolate. Agoraphobia. Agoraphobia. That's possible that you may have that. A lot of people mainly think of agoraphobia in terms of those people who just cannot leave their houses. Like some women and men or people, some people go through having agoraphobia to the point where going to get milk or Pampers or anything necessary for them, like they just are convinced, like if I leave my apartment, like, dude, I'm, something's gonna happen, you know what I mean? And that's valid, you know what I'm saying? Anxiety due to medical conditions includes symptoms of intense anxiety or panic that are often directly caused by a physical health problem. So let's say, you know what I'm saying, a lot of people who have cancer end up getting medical anxiety because their cancer is essentially, taking them out slowly but surely, and it's stressing them because they want to go through remission, they want to live, and the fact that they may not be there longer on earth to be here with their family gives them anxiety. So that's the best example I have for that. Generalized anxiety disorder, which includes persistent or excessive anxiety and worry about activities or events, even ordinary routine issues. The worry is out of proportion to the actual circumstances. Yeah. Hello, hi. So, for example, great example. My car gets towed today. I'm starting to worry. My car got towed because I was parked in a space. Now, my car got towed, but my tags are dead. So I'm starting to worry, you know what, they took my whole car. Now I'm thinking, okay, what if I never find my car? Now I'm thinking, okay, what if I left the door or something open, they moved my car, and I don't know where my car is, and somebody steals my car? Now I'm thinking, what if the guy, whether it's a man or a woman, whoever towed my car, what if they sitting there waiting for me to say something to me and they want to argue and they want to fight? Now I'm thinking, oh, what if that person is going to do something to me and violate me in a way that's going to permanently traumatize me? And I have to walk to my car. I have to walk 15, 20 minutes to my car. So now I'm thinking, oh my God, what if multiple people do something to me while I'm walking to my car? What if my phone dies? My phone was on 70%. What if my phone dies while I'm walking to my car and I need to call the police and I can't call the police? What if, girl, and to some people, and honestly, logically, I know this, and some people it's just simple. Girl, just walk to your car. It's not that serious, but it is. So shut up. Anyways, so that's what it means by saying, like, because we all have things in this world that worry and stress us. That's just the nature of being human, unfortunately. But generalized anxiety is when it's excessive, and the worry surpasses the circumstance, basically. It is difficult to control, and the worry is out of proportion to the actual circumstance, is difficult to control, and affects how you feel physically. Now, this is actual factual, and honestly, I haven't thought about this in a very long time, but let me think. I don't want to say that. Okay, so the best way I could say it, and this is, I was gonna say something else, but I don't want to share too much. But just worrying to the point where my stomach starts to hurt, and it feels like knots are in my stomach. Feels like rocks and knots and rocks and rocks and knots is in my stomach. Like, oh my god, ghetto. Panic disorder involves repeated episodes of sudden feelings of intense anxiety and the fear and terror that reach a peak within minutes. Panic attacks. So constantly having panic attacks. Obviously, we know that I do that, unfortunately. You may have feelings of impending doom, short breath, chest pain, or a rapid fluttering, pounding chest, heart palpitations. Oh my god. I thought these panic attacks may lead to worrying about them happening or avoiding situations that may have occurred. Okay, so I actually recently took a job that's a bit more social than my last few jobs, and I did that because I avoid. Like, I literally, you can feel the anxiety taking over, and if you constantly have panic attacks, you can feel, Ace, come here, Cage, you can feel the anxiety taking over. And if you constantly have panic attacks, you can also feel when the panic attack is about to come on. So it just to the point where my chest will start hurting, and because panic attacks is so like painful, and like obviously I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, and it's like a living nightmare. I do avoid situations that cause it. Like, if I know that me going on dates with, new guys give me anxiety, I don't do that. If I know that going to clubs give me anxiety, I don't do that. If I know that talking to this person gives me anxiety, I don't talk to them. I don't do that. That's literally, yeah. So it is a full-time job because you have to constantly, well, for me, I'm constantly on guard for the next panic attack, and I'm constantly trying to, like, if when I go into a room, I'm looking for either a restroom for me to go to immediately or the nearest exit. Because for me, the worst thing for me that happens to me is having a panic attack when there's multiple people around, more than one person around, baby, and they just do this thing when they immediately get in your space and they're like, are you okay? Like, dude, that does not help. If anything, and now I'm convinced I'm about to die. Like, you are making it worse. Like, I know I'm on this floor, and I know that you're trying to tell me to get up, but obviously I cannot. Like, so, yeah. So for me, I constantly pick out places. Okay, the bathroom's right there, So if I feel myself anxiety, I either go home or I just, go to the bathroom and fall out in there. And then come back and act like nothing happened, period. But sometimes it gets so bad where I have to seek medical attention because, I also have another diagnosis that makes my anxiety even worse. So, on to the next one. Selective mutism is a consistent failure of children to speak in certain situations, such as school, even when they speak in other situations, such as at home with other members. This can interfere with schoolwork and social functioning. Oh, I said mutism. Selective mutism. So it's basically when children go mute and they stop speaking, but they only speak like, oh my god, I think I had this. Say there's a kid that only speaks to their mother and they won't speak to anyone else. It's because they're so anxious to speak. Oh my god, that is powerful. That is really powerful. Just thinking about the connections to words. And the last video I did, like, our words have power and like how we can potentially set each other free. And I'm just thinking, like, some kids get anxious and, like, from young ages they just X their own voice out and they're so anxious to speak to anybody. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's just like really messing with me right now. And this separation anxiety is a childhood disorder characterized by anxiety that is excessive for a child's developmental level and related to separation from parents or others who have parental roles. So this is basically pretty much straightforward. Separation anxiety means you're literally anxious to being separated from your parents. So they're saying it's primary in childhood. It's a childhood disorder, which I didn't know, because a lot of people claim, like adult full grown-ups have, I've heard so many of them say I have separation anxiety. So I had no idea this was a childhood disorder. Social anxiety disorder involves high levels of anxiety, fear, and avoidance of social circumstances due to feelings of embarrassment, self-consciousness, and concerns about being judged or viewed negatively by others. So sometimes, like I said, if you're talking to someone and you constantly just think like, oh my God, why did I say that? What happened? Like, that was dumb. Like, that's torture. Like, constantly bullying yourself into thinking like you should just shut the fuck up. Like, that is what social anxiety is. Or being so afraid that every single person is going to like physically attack you that like you just want to be by yourself. Like, stuff like that, you know? The usual. Specific phobias. So some people are arachnophobic and they just get super panicked by spiders. Some people, there's a phobia like where you're like afraid of cotton. Some people are afraid of cotton. I don't want to hear no cotton jokes, period. Anyways, other specified anxiety disorders and unspecified anxiety disorders are terms of anxiety or phobias that don't meet the exact criteria for any other anxiety disorders but significant enough to be distressing and disturbative. So in other words, this is just, you know, the broad things that anxiety is like an umbrella. There's so many things that could go under anxiety. So just because you may not get a full-fledged diagnosis, but honestly, it's not a competition. Just because you may not get a full-fledged diagnosis doesn't mean that, you know, what your doctor says you have isn't as distressing or harmful as, you know, as what I just read. So the only difference I would say is these anxiety disorders, official anxiety disorders, may require a higher level of care and may be a little bit more I was gonna say more permanent, but like more permanent. All right, now let's go to the next thing. All right, so anxiety is actually really difficult to deal with, and shout out to the Mayo Clinic sponsor me because I just used all your information to do my video. Anyways, anxiety is actually really difficult to deal with because people who don't deal with anxiety, people who do not deal with anxiety is difficult. It's just hard to explain to them why you're constantly worried about stuff. And a lot of people read your worry, well, in my experience, people read my worry as self-consciousness. Baby, I am doing a reality check. So if I come to you and I ask you, was that too much? Or was that like, do you think that was weird when I said this? I'm doing a reality check because best to believe in my head, I'm already so anxious and thinking of all the stuff that, you know, could possibly happen. Like, you know, it could be as weird as, you know, I accidentally drop your cupcake on the floor, and now all of a sudden in my head I'm thinking, oh my gosh, she's gonna plot a murder. She's plotting to murder me in my like. I know what time it is. Like, that's what it's, you know, that's, people don't get it, and it's difficult when medical professionals don't get it as well, because right now I'm in a high anxiety state. And some professionals don't really understand how my anxiety works until they see me on the floor hyperventilating and passing out, which is unfortunate. And you know what? Let me not rant. Let me keep this. What are you doing? You want to be negative. For what? Stay positive. If you watch my last video, then you know why I was just getting triggered. But anyways, let me just say this. Like, some people, it feels like anxiety is a very isolating disorder, because even people with, anxiety is so common and is so openly spoken about now, because for whatever reason it's something that people self-diagnose. And oh my god. Another symptom that wasn't listed was ringing. So, I said I wanted to speak about my symptoms with generalized anxiety as well as panic disorder, and PTSD is like, some of the complex PTSD, to clarify. Anyways, let's talk about this. So my symptoms include, do I want to say all that? Girl, I don't care. Include ringing of the ears. My ears constantly ring. And one day I saw on the internet that, like, girl, I'm not gonna talk about that. Anyways, ringing of the ears, tunnel vision. So my vision gets blurred. Sometimes it feels like things are really far away, but also close at the same time. And then it gets blurry too. So what I describe it just like that to my doctor, they're like, yeah, that's tunnel vision. And looking at pictures of tunnel vision online, I'm like, yeah, that is what it looks like. So anyways, tunnel vision, fainting. Sometimes I full-fledged faint. That's not, every single time. My knees collapse. My legs collapse. Hey, so my legs collapse. My chest, I experienced the heart palpitations. And I saw that, and I had like a moment where I was just like really confused. I saw that earlier. I do experience heart palpitations. And with the heart palpitations, for me, I experience that commonly. Like, I don't just, have that like once in a peak of a panic attack. I have that like ongoing, like throughout the day, and I'll be like convinced that I'm like having a heart attack. So I actually call 911 all the time on myself, convinced that like, listen, my heart is like, I'm having a. Do you know that my heart is about to fall out of my chest? Like, can you help me? My heart is about to fall out of my chest. Help. What do you do? Help. So yeah, that's what it's given. Anyways, I don't experience sweating. I don't think I do. Memory loss though, like brain fog, memory loss, zoning out for sure. I experience excessive worrying, intrusive thoughts. I experience I constantly find myself interrupting people while they're speaking. Yeah, girl, I gotta go because talking about anxiety makes a bitch anxious. So I'm gonna go. I hope this helps, and I'm definitely gonna do more videos, and maybe just stay tuned. I mean, a good way to self-soothe is having like little widgets, gadgets and stuff that helps. So stress balls, you can find things like this at Costco. You can find things like this TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Ross, Children's Aisle, and you can also go to Five and Below. Five and Below is really big on like widgets and stuff like that, and it's interesting. But yeah, meditation is key. Grounding yourself is key. I don't really know, like, from a person with anxiety, me trying to tell people what to do when they have panic attacks, it's not moving for me because I do this shit and it's not working. Like, it's not getting caught on camera again. Alright, anyways. One thing I do is like, come here, Ace. Cage. Get in the cage. One thing I do, because he was just scratching me. One thing I do is take showers. Take lots of showers. Cold showers. Sometimes they recommend to put like ice on the back of your head or in the back of your neck. If I could have it my way, I wouldn't leave my house at all. Like, I just dead ass wouldn't leave the house. Like, and then I would like decorate my house the way I wanted it, the way it makes me feel most comfortable. Well, sorry guys. I mean, I know this video isn't too helpful. At least like we went over some of the stuff together, and it's like another thing that's really common with anxiety, which I'm doing right now, and you just can't see it because I'm sitting, is the leg shakes, and yeah. Yeah. For me, I honestly think, actually, speaking of sleep, I haven't slept in 7 days. Well, I've slept, but it's been like naps, like 4 hours. 2 days out of 7, I didn't sleep at all. So, and it was a combination of anxiety, depression, just not sleeping. Well, I don't have the answer, Sway. I'm just here to share my story and what I can relate to. Hopefully this helps somebody. Another thing I was going to say is like filling your time with hobbies. So as you may know, I'm into like art and stuff. So I want to, join an art team. I'm sorry, an art class. But, I got to get my coin up first. Join an art class and, just filling your time with hobbies. Things that make you happy as far as like hobbies and stuff like that, so you're not spending 99% of your time like, I don't know, crying and stuff. So I'm gonna go because I'm about to fall apart.